Assalamu alaikum gentlemen, I am Dr. Hamidullah Niazi and today we are going to study about another important manufacturing process, and that is called powder metallurgy. Powder metallurgy, like other manufacturing process, is very important because many of the products commercially are made with the help of powder metallurgy, and these parts include different types of gears and other types of most important machinery elements which can be made with the help of powder metallurgy. So we are going to study about the different steps, and we are covering few of the important topics in today's lecture. First of all, we will study about the characterization of engineering powders, production of metal powder, conventional pressing and sintering techniques, and alternative pressing and sintering techniques, material and the product for metallurgy, and some design consideration in the powder metallurgy. Okay, coming to the powder metallurgy, as I told you initially that this is one of the most important manufacturing process. So this is the technology in which parts are produced from the metal powder. The important thing is that here you need first of all a powder which has to be in fact processed by various ways. So using powder metallurgy production sequence, so we have to first of all, once we have made the powder with various techniques, the second step will be the pressing of the powders. Powders are compressed into the desired shape to produce green compact. Why do we call green compact? Because it is not it is not having a good strength. So once the product has been pressed, you can easily break it by hand. So very small pressure can be applied to break that part. So unless that part is sintered in some furnace, that part is not cannot be used for any purpose now. So this is accomplished in pressing is accomplished in the press, usually punch and a die tooling designed for the part. Okay, various tonnage of punches are available, and where different presses are available where you can use them for this purpose now. Okay, second step, important step, is the sintering process. The green compact which has been done first in the pressing, that has to be in fact sintered in some furnace. So the sintering temperature is very important over here. So you have to put that green compact in the furnace, and you have to heat it to bond the particle into a hard rigid mass. So this sintering process is not just for one day. The sintering can be done for many days. Several days the product is kept in the sintering furnace now. It's performed at temperature below the melting point of the metal. Of course, we have not to melt the powder to the melting point, but below that one now. Okay. So why powder metallurgy is important? Actually, the powder metallurgy parts can be mass produced to net shape or the near net shape. You don't need to in fact do any further machining, except maybe some you need to make some certain threads, or maybe the side features you want to add, but normally the product which are produced, they are the net shape. Okay, so you do not need any subsequent machining. So powder metallurgy parts in fact also helps you to reduce the waste because very little material is in fact wasted, and 97% of the starting powder are converted into the product. So these products can be made with the specified level of porosity depending upon the compaction and depending upon the powder size and powder shape to produce the porous metal parts. So example is that you have filter and integrated bearing and gears. You can in fact make with the help of powder metallurgy parts. And the other more reason why powder metallurgy is important is certain metals that are difficult to fabricate by other methods that can be shaped by powder metallurgy. Maybe you do not want to keep them in the melting condition because due to certain chemical reaction, those processes cannot be carried out. So this powder can be fabricated into the product very easily now. So tungsten, for example, filament for the incandescent lamp, bulbs are made by powder metallurgy, and you cannot do any other process now. Okay, certain alloys, even combination and particularly made by powder metallurgy, cannot be produced in other ways, because those alloys, if they mixed in at the high melting temperature, they sometimes mix up with the surrounding and atmospheric air, and in that case that will give you a different kind of a thing. So you need to go for the powder metallurgy. So the powder metallurgy compares the favorably to most casting processes in dimensional tool control. So this is a very good important advantage, reason for the powder metallurgy. And moreover, the method can be automated for the economical production as well now. So right now there are many mechanization and automation methods are available, where you can make the lot of product in large volume at a mass production level. Okay, limitation and disadvantages. High tooling and equipment cost, these are the limitation, or you can say disadvantages, because you need first of all you need a big investment for making the powder, and if you have the powder, of course you need a high tonnage, some press or maybe the pressing machines to press the powder, and then you also need a sintering furnace. So metallic powder are expensive, and problem in the storing and handling metallic powder, because there is sometimes explosion take place if you do not handle those powder with the careful, in fact, processes. So degradation of the powder can also take place, and some fire hazard are also there. And similarly, there are limitation on parts geometry, because metal powder do not readily flow laterally in the die during the pressing now. So these are certain limitations, but it depends upon the size of the powder. Maybe some powder can be shaped, but some of the powder cannot be shaped due to the particular size and the other limitations now. Okay, the variation in the density throughout the parts may be a problem, especially for the complex geometries. This is another limitations. Okay, coming to the powder work material, the largest tonnage of the metal are being produced. For example, metals are alloys of the cast iron and steel and aluminium, and other powder metallurgy metals include coppers, nickels, and refractory metals such as the molybdenum and tungsten, and metallic carbides such as the tungsten carbide are often included within the scope of the powder metallurgy, because the other way other ways are not possible to handle the tungsten carbide. So this is a good way to do that with the powder metallurgy methods. Okay, these are the few parts are shown to you, especially the gears, which are very difficult to make. All types of gear they can be made in the mass production, and these are certain other joining and the connecting element can be made with the help of powder metallurgy. For example, the connecting rods of the engine can be made with the help of and the other automotive part can be made with the help of powder metallurgy. Okay. Coming to the engineering powder, a powder can be defined first of all as a finely divided particulate solid. Now, so engineering powder include metals and ceramics. Geometric features of the engineering powder are particle size. Second thing is particle shape and internal structure, surface area. So these are the three important things. The most common method for measuring the powder size include a sieve. You need to have a sieve where the powder can be passed through. So this is the microscopic ASTM standard, where you can in fact use that one for the calculating the size of the powder. And similarly, there are other some methods are available of the powder and the related compound by light scattering and the laser diffraction effect. So one more important thing is the measuring particle size is the mesh count. Mesh count is a very important term. How do we find out the mesh count? This refers to the number of openings per linear inch. So if you have a linear inch of 1 inch here, 1 inch in this side, so if the number of mesh is, for example, 200, this means 200 are in this way, 200 are in this way. So ultimately 200 into 200, that becomes out how much? 40,000. So the mesh of, for example, 200 will be having the how many openings? It will be having the opening per square inch of almost 40,000. So if the number of openings are more, that means that the size is small. But if the size of the opening is bigger, then this mesh count will be smaller. So 200 means that the in 1 inch length there are 200 and in the width also 2 inch. So you can see if you have a 100 inch size mesh count, that will be having about 10,000 number of opening in 1 square inch. So the mesh, if the mesh count is bigger, that means there are more number of holes now. Okay, coming to the higher mesh count means smaller particle size. If the mesh count is higher, then the particle size is smaller now. Okay, the procedure of separating the powder by size is called classification. How do we separate the powder? This procedure is called separating of the powder, and the procedure is called classification. So in this case, for example, if we have a screen mesh where the powder can be passed through, here you can see a particle size is being shown to you. The powder is a bigger powder and smaller powder. You can see a particle size that would pass through the mesh, and this would in fact not pass through now. So 1 over mesh count will be equal to, because 1 over mesh count means that is 1 square inch, 1 square inch. So 1 over MC, you can find out the 1 over MC over here now. So particular size is basically 1 over MC minus TW. TW is basically the thickness of the wire, because the wire thickness is right now where you can see over here. So if we subtract that, you get the particle size. So 1 over MC minus this wire thickness, you get the particle size now. Okay. So the shapes of the powder can be different types of shapes available, and these shapes are spherical, rounded, cylindrical, spongy, aciculars, flaky, cubic, and aggregate enough. These several possible particle shapes are possible in the powder metallurgy. And simple and useful means of shaping is aspect ratio. One more important term is aspect ratio. What is the aspect ratio? It is the ratio of the maximum dimension or minimum dimension, ratio of maximum dimension to the minimum dimension. So maximum dimension to the minimum dimension is called aspect ratio for a given particle. For spherical generally spherical powder, the aspect ratio is equal to 1. Means the ratio of the maximum dimension of the powder to the minimum dimension, that is called as a aspect ratio. For non-spherical, so this aspect ratio can be 2 to 4 now. But remember, if any problem which you are facing, you want to calculate some certain feature of the other design characteristics, so in that case the spherical one will be having equal to 1. Okay. Surface area. Surface area, suppose if you have the particle shape, maybe the shape is spherical, in that case area equal to pi d square, and the volume of the sphere will be equal to pi by 6 d cube, where d is the diameter of spherical particle. Okay. Now if you want to find out the A over V, and this becomes about 6 over d, and in some cases we can say this 6 is basically shape factor now. 6 is the shape factor and d is the diameter of the that particles now. Okay, that's spherical. Okay, d is the in general the dia of the sphere of the equivalent volume of the equivalent volume as non-spherical particle. So if the non-spherical particle is that, you can take it equal to the diameter of the sphere now, because the sphere it is not necessary that the powder is in the form of sphere now. In that case, the shape factor will not be equal to 6. This is 6 is for only for the spherical now. But if the particle is maybe is not spherical, but the other shapes are available, like in that case the Ks will be more than 6 now. Okay, so these shape factor will be given to you in fact. Okay, coming to the another important term, that is called the angle of repose. This angle of repose is very important. For example, if I have some funnel type of the equipment available, I pass through this powder from this funnel, and then the heap of this powder is basically created depending upon the different kinds of powders mixed together, smaller and bigger, all mixed together. So once they are passed through this one, so the angle which is over here is called angle of repose. So interparticulate particle friction and the flow characteristics are very important over here now. Now the interparticular friction is indicated by the angle of repose of a pile of powder poured from the narrow funnel. So large angle indicate that the greater friction will be there, because the friction between the greater interparticular will be more. So larger angle will be there. Okay. So So larger angle indicate the greater interparticle friction. That means the friction is more. If the friction is not more, then this pile will be having a angle of different kind of angle now. Okay, when the angle is more, this means the friction is more now. Okay, this is called angle of repose. So when we will be packing these powder, these are very important terms which we will be using in the further numericals now. Okay, the common test of interparticular friction is the angle of repose, which is the angle formed by the pile powder as we discussed when this is poured through a narrow funnel now. Okay, coming to the few more observations, some particle sizes generally show greater friction and steeper angle. Okay, and spherical shapes have the lowest interparticle friction, where the all the spherical shapes when you are using normally it is not possible, but you may be having a mix of the all different kinds of shapes. So as the shapes deviate from the spherical, the friction between the particles tends to increase. So flow characteristics are important in the die filling and the pressing. These flow characteristics, when you are pouring the powder and then you are pressing, these characteristics will be very important now. Easier flow of the particle correlates with the lower interval. So when the powder is easily flowing, that means the interparticle friction is low. And automatic die filling depends upon also easy and the consistent flow of the powder when it is passing through the funnel now. Okay, because you will be filling the die and then you are doing the next process, that is the pressing process now. So once the die has been filled, the pressing, the resistance to flow increases density variation in the compact part, and these density gradients are undesirable now. So depending upon the different mix of these particles, and it will be giving you certain problem in the pressing now. Okay, lubricants are often added to the powder to reduce the interparticular friction and facilitate flow during the process. So sometimes the lubricants are also added in order to facilitate the pressing process now. Okay, coming to the some more terms, particle density. How you measure the density of the particles? So one is called the true density. The true density is the density of the true volume of the material. So if true volume means the density of the material if the powder were melted into the solid mass. If the powder were in fact melted into the solid mass, then we can call it as a true density. But generally the powder is not melted. So we use another term, that is the bulk density, because the powder is not melted at all, but the powder is just pressed and then it is heated in the furnace, we call it sintering. So bulk density, which is the density of the powder in the loose state after pouring. So this is the bulk density will be having a lot of pores because of the pores between the particles. So bulk density is generally less than the true density. True density is when you assume that the powder were melted into the solid form, just into solid mass, but here the powder in the loose form, so the bulk density will be less. So one more term is called we call it as the packing factor. So packing factor basically is the bulk density divided by the true density. So bulk density is less and true density is more. So the packing factor will be always between 0.5 and 0.7 depending upon the shape of the powder and the friction between the powder. Okay, if the powder of the various sizes are present, and the smaller powder will fit into the spaces between the large ones, and thus higher packing factor now. So if you are having a different kinds of the powder mixed together, so the smaller will fit into the bigger one now. The packing can be increased by vibrating, so you can vibrate the sieve or maybe when the powder is being mixed, and that causing them to settle more tightly now. So the packing can be increased. The pressure applied during the compaction greatly increases. The pressure is applied in fact with the help of some presses. Large tonnage of presses are available for doing the compaction. So compaction is a very important factor. When you make a green compact, so you need to apply certain pressure, and that will be rearrangement and deformation of the particle when you are pressing it now. Okay, porosity is another important term. This is the ratio of the volume of the pores, that means empty spaces in the powder, to the bulk volume. So this is porosity is volume of the pores divided by the total bulk volume. Okay, so this is another term. In principle, if we say if the porosity plus packing factor you add together, that will give you the factor equal to 1.0, because porosity is basically how much is the volume occupied by the pores, and the packing factor is something the bulk density divided by the as we discussed bulk density divided by true density now. Okay, so if we sum up both the factors, porosity plus packing factor, you will get equal to 1.0 now. So this is the very important formula which we will be using in the further terms now. The issue is complicated by the possible existence of the closed pore in some of the particles, and if the internal pore volumes are included in the above process, then the equation is exact. Okay, so metal powder are classified as either elemental or in the pre-alloyed form now. Elemental means they are consistent of pure metal, and pre-alloyed means that each particle is in alloy. So both types can be there, either in the elemental form, which is the pure form, or maybe in the pre-alloyed. All the powder are in the pre-alloyed form now. So possible surface films include oxides, silica, and absorbed organic material and moisture are used to you apply certain films in order to increase the, in fact, surface films are added on these surfaces. As a general rule, these films must be removed prior to the shaping processes. But normally, if the films are already present, you will be having certain problem now. These films must be removed now to shape the powder in the certain form now. So production of the metallic powder. In general, the producer of the metallic powder are not the same companies as those of the making powder metallurgy parts, because making of the powder is a different technology now. There are various technologies available, and it's a very expensive process. So both powder metallurgy making companies and the powder metallurgy parts making companies, they are totally different from each other now. So any metal can be made into powder forms. The three principal methods which normally we use in the powder, we will be covering just a small glimpses of this one. The first one is the atomization, and second one is chemical reduction, and third one electrolytic. We will be covering one of them, atomization, but this is a complete one more chapter on that, how you make the powder and what are the different methods now. Coming to the, in addition, there are some mechanical methods are also available to reduce the powder, where you use different grinding machines to make the powder now. Okay, but here you can see one of the gas atomization method is shown over here. Either the molten metal over here, you can see over here, by the gravity it comes down, and you insert some inert gas with a high pressure from the nozzle, and then once the metal is coming down in the molten form, this air converts molten metal into the powder form, and then that's settled down on the bottom now. And similarly, this method can also be used. So this is a way of spraying the high pressure gas, and that in fact atomization of that molten metal, converting that molten metal into the form of a powder, where powder can settle down in the form of the powder now. This is a very expensive process, in fact, and this is called gas atomization method. And normally the air or some inner gas is used, so that the molten metal does not react with the with the air. So we use generally the inert gas now. Okay. Conventional presses and sinters are also used to make the powder, but in that case, first of all, we should see that we have to blend and mix the powder now. Okay. The sequence of the conventional powder material sequence consists of blending and mixing now. Blending mixing means that first of all the powder should be made by some method. For example, we discussed the atomization method, and then we have to blend it. Blend means that mixing together of the various powder shapes now, because spherical and other shapes can be mixed together. Then comes the compaction. Here you need some certain press of some maybe 100 or 400 tonnage, pressing into the desired shape, and then you can get a green compact now. Okay, and then putting that green compact into the furnace, we call it a sintering process, and this sintering process is carried out for many days, for several weeks, in fact, you can say now, so that the melting does not take place. In fact, the the centering is just below the melting temperature now. So heating the temperature below the melting point, that causes the solid metal into the bonding of the particle and strengthening of the parts now. Okay, here you can see conventional powder production sequence. Here you can see over here the blending is being done over here. Once the blending with some mixer has been done, then the compaction takes place, and after the compaction you see you can centering, where you can see a furnace has been used and the heat has been given to, and the parts has been in the first one, this is in the loose form, then in the compaction form, but in the when you do the heating below the melting, then all these particular of the powder, they are converted into certain shape. Okay, so they just make a bond, close bond, okay, between the different particles now. So these are the in fact important terms you must understand now. Okay, here are we having some problem, but these problems are very simple. I do few problems, and in those problems, for example, I just start with the first problem. In certain pressing operation, the metallic powder is fed into the open die as a packing factor is given to you. I told you what is a packing factor. The pressing operation reduces the powder to, once you do the pressing, the further it has been reduced to 2/3 of its starting volume. If the subsequent centering operation takes place, then further 10% reduction takes place now. You can see here the packing factor, which means what you call it, the density of the the metallic density and the loose form of the powder divided by the in fact molten form. So in that case, that gives you the packing factor now. Okay, so packing factor is equal to bulk density divided by true density. So bulk density, as I told you, that is in the loose form now, and true density is basically of any metal, which we studied in chapter number 4 also now. So the true density they have given of all the metals is given to you, but the bulk density is having a lot of pores. So this packing factor is already given to you. So the density will be 1 over specific volume. So once you know the packing factor formula, so you can convert into the volume formula as well. For example, the volume will be opposite now. So because density is mass per unit volume, so this packing factor density formula gets converted into the in this formula. So this formula right now true density in the denominator, but here in the specific volume formula, the true volume is in the numerator and the bulk specific volume in the denominator now. So this packing factor is a very simple formula. Okay, the pressing reduces the specific volume 2/3. So 2/3 means 0.667. So centering further reduces, I told you 10% means that reduced to 0.90 of the after pressing. So let's see that true specific volume was the 1.0. So for that packing factor of 0.5, the bulk specific volume will be 1 over 0.5, that is the specific volume is equal to 2.0. Okay, so the packing factor after pressing and centering both, now this 1 divided by 2 into 2/3, which was the pressing, multiplied by the 10% of the, and 10% was what? 10% was basically shrinkage take place on the volume after the centering process. So all found together. So if you divide all the multiplying factor 2/3 reduction and then centering reduction, so you get in fact 0.883. This packing factor after pressing and centering both. So true porosity will be equal to what? 1 minus 0.883. So that means the porosity will be equal to number of pores which will be available, that will be 0.667, and we discussed that the porosity plus packing factor both, that is equal to 1, because the packing factor is 0.883 and 0.883 plus this one, this is equal to 1. So we studied this formula already. Okay, coming to another problem, they are very simple problem. I tell you they are just a problem with the metric level, and you have to play with the figures now. Okay, I think in this one the pile of powder weight, for example, is iron powder weight is given to you 2 pounds. The pile of the iron powder, the pile which has been made, that is given, the weight is given to 2 pounds. So whole powder made of iron powder, and that actually the pile is having 2 pounds. The particles are spherical in shape and all are having the same diameter. So one diameter of the one particle is 0.02 inch. So determine the total surface area of all the particles in the piles. So you want to find out the surface area of the 2 pound weight. So this is not a big deal. And the second thing which has been asked, if the packing factor is 0.6, determine the volume taken by the pile. So what will be the volume of this 2 pound now? Note the density of the iron is given to you now. This density is already given to you. One of for spherical particle, the diameter which is given to you 0.002 inch. Now you can find out the volume pi by 6 into d cube now. So this volume is found, but this volume is for a one particle now. Now the number of weight per particle, how much will be the weight? So you know the weight is equal to density into volume. So you have the density of 0.228 multiplied by the total volume, which total volume is of the total volume of one particle. So this is the weight of the one particle. Okay. So once you know the weight of the one particle, you already have the total weights available. So you can play with that two weights. So divide by 2 divided by the weight of the one particle. So you can get the number of the particle in fact. So once the number of particles available to you, so you can find out the area. Area is pi by 4 is pi d square. So pi d square, and that is the area of the that is equal to 12.56 into 10 minus 6 inch square. So total surface area will be equal to what? The total surface area will be equal to this 12.566 multiplied by the number of particles, because in 2 pound number of particles, there is huge number of particles available now. So this huge number is multiplied with the area of the one particle. So you can find out the total surface area now. So second problem which was in fact asked, that was the packing factor given to you and total volume of that piles of 2 pound volume. So that can also be calculated, because 2 pound divided by 0.284, 0.284 we just calculated in that one, 0.284, and we discussed this one, this 0.24 density is given to you. Okay, so you divide by in fact 0.284, and then you again divide by 0.6 now. Why 0.6? Because 0.6 is as we discussed, what was the 0.6? 0.6 was the packing factor in fact, which was given to you. So once this you divide by the packing factor, you can find out the total volume of the piles. So 2 pound pile of 2 pound particle is having about 11.74 cubic inch volume in fact. Okay, so because once you know these all terms, what is the packing factor, what is the area of the one particle, what is the volume of the one particle, then you can play with all these figures. They're very simple now. So I skip this numerical. This is again one very simple numerical, because they are just the playing with the volume and the area and so on now. Okay, now coming to the these are already solution given to you in the I just skip to the second most important process of the powder metallurgy, that is blending and mixing now. Once you have made the powder and you want to mix together, and that mixing is very important, because I told you the bigger powder and the smaller powder, when they mix together, so smaller in fact seeps into the bigger one, and friction of the bigger one will be more and the smaller one is less. So we also discussed what was the angle of repose. So these are very important things. So blending basically is what? Powder of the same chemistry but possibly different particle sizes are intermingled together now. So different particle sizes are often blended to reduce the porosity, and mixing means powder of different chemistries are combined together. So once the blending process is complete, then you start with the second important process, that is the compaction now. And here you need a high tonnage press in order to press the powder into a required shape, and whatever the shape is achieved, we call it as a green compact. Okay, so that green compact later on can be pressed into the sintering furnace now. So this green compact is once you press it, and that small green compact is not hard enough. You can even break with the simple hand pressure now. So this is not a high strength green compact, but it is having very less strength. Okay, unless you put it into the sintering furnace, then the strength of the that green compact will increase now. But that which takes a lot of days, many days. So green strength of the part when pressed is adequate for handling but less than the after centering now. Even you can see you can break with the normal hand pressure now. So you have to put it in the centering furnace now. So here you can see once the powder has been put into some die, you can see the lower die and the upper the lower punch and the upper punch, they just come together, and you can see here the density, the compaction increases. Once the compaction has been in fact achieved, you can remove the upper punch, and then you can remove this green compact, and you can put it into the furnace now. Okay, this is the in fact high tonnage 450 kilonewton tonnage hydraulic press used for the pressing now. Okay, so centering is another very important process of the powder metallurgy, and heat treatment to bond the metallurgical particles. Why do you do the centering? And I told you it takes several days to do the centering process. So you want to increase the strength and hardness of the powder particles. So usually carried out between 70 or 90% of the melting point, because you do not need to melt it to up to melting temperature, because this powder has to be brought closer to the melting, but normally up to 90% of the melting point. Generally agreed among the researchers that the primary driving force for centering is reduction of surface energy now. Okay, this is the way you are doing reducing the surface energy. And morely the shrinkage of the parts also occur during the centering due to the pore sizes reduction together. As we saw some figures below, in the previous slides, that first of all when the mixing is taking place, there is a lot of porosity. When compaction, the porosity decreases. But once the centering process takes place, the bonds are formed between the particles. Okay, here you can see over here. These are for example, your point bonding. The initial stages, you can see a point figures that you can see over here. Then the next are generated, and those ultimately these pores are getting smaller and smaller, and finally you can see the shape of the complete product over here is formed after the centering process now. Okay, so these are the 4 important steps which are taking place, starting with the first one, which is the particle bonding in the initial contact point, then the second point, then the third point, and the fourth point. Ultimately, the shape of this spherical part will be like this way, and maybe if you put it for many days, even these grain boundaries are also minimized now. They are in fact eliminated now. Okay, so now look at the centering cycle of the furnace. First of all, you have to preheat that product. So preheating takes place, then you give it a bigger temperature, that is up to 70 or 90% of the melting temperature, and ultimately then you cool down, and this cooling process takes place for several days now. Okay, so this is a very important step for you can say a typical heat treatment cycle in the centering, and you can see in the B schematic cross section of the continuous centering furnace has been shown to you. So where the parts can be brought over here, and then ultimately it is taken out of the centering furnace now. Okay, secondary operations are also important in the some secondary operations are needed, and those secondary operations are performed to increase the density, to improve the accuracy, and some additional shaping of the centered part. What are those? Repressing. So pressing center part into in a die to increase the density and improve the properties. Okay, so the one more is the sizing. So pressing a center part to improve the dimensional accuracy, and the third one is the quenning process, where the press working operation on the center part to press the detail into its surface. So whatever is the shape of the die during the quenning, that shape will be in fact imparted to the that center part now. Okay, then maybe you would not need to do any machining, but sometimes machining is required. For example, you need to make certain threads or maybe side holes, but other small details maybe you need, but rarely machining is required in the powder metallurgy parts now. Okay, so secondary operation में जो हम अगर देखना चाहें, there are more operation, impregnation and infiltration now. The impregnation and filtration are generally more important because they are using in the bearing, they increase the bearing properties. So porosity is a unique and inherent characteristics of the powder metallurgy technology. So this is the important term in the powder metallurgy. So unique inherent characteristics of all the products. It can be exploited to increase the special product by filling the available. So all those pores which we have seen previously, they can be filled with the oil, or they can be filled with the polymer or the metal, so that the pores are filled in fact. And two categories are in fact very important for filling those pores with the help of oil. One is the impregnation, other is the infiltration. In the impregnation, what we do is we in fact want to seal the porosity with the help of certain oils and other fluids. And common products which are oil impregnated are, for example, bearings and gears and small components, because these bearings have got some inherent properties of the, in fact, what you call it, the oiling with already properties are already there in those parts. So although you need a very less oiling of those parts, so because the already oil has been impregnated in those bearings now with the help of impregnation techniques now. Okay, so these are the alternative applications. Given parts are impregnated with the polymers, resins are also added. Instead of oil, you can use some polymers also in that one now. Okay, so in order to fit into the tighter spaces now. Okay, so infiltration is one more important thing, that when you put some of the molten metal into those pores, that molten metal, due to the capillary action that goes into those slots and those pores. Okay, so in that case, that involves heating the filler metal. So filler metal has to be heated, and then it has to be, in fact, by the capillary action, it has to be inserted into the pores, which will result into the filling of those pores in order to increase the uniform density in the and also it increases the toughness of the and strength of the parts now. Okay, what are the material and the product for the material use? So generally raw material for powder material are more expensive. As I told you, this raw material is very expensive now. So this is the only limitation because certain technologies are needed in that one. And one technology which we studied, that was the atomization process. Okay, other techniques are all available, but due to the paucity of time, we could not discuss all those techniques. But you can, if you want to see, you can study what are those techniques for making the powders. Okay, so accordingly the powder metallurgy is competitive only in the certain range of the applications. So what are the material and product that seem most suited to the powder metallurgy? That is another question now. Okay, but normally all the gears and all different parts which are very difficult to do, and certain materials which are difficult to machine, those can be made with the help of powder metallurgy now, where machining is not possible, or maybe the melting of those metal is having certain issues, so you can do with the powder metallurgy now. So a pure metal in the particle form can also be handled. We call it elemental powder because it is in the pure form now. So application where high purity is important, in that case you can make the different powder, for example, of the iron, aluminium and copper. They are generally available in the elemental powder form, and there are some certain elements. Okay, for example, if you want to make these elemental powder can be mixed with the other metal powder to produce the alloys that are difficult to formulate by other conventional methods of the manufacturing now. So you need to do those elemental methods, because those elemental methods, if they are mixed together in the molten form, then they create certain problems now. So you, for example, you want to make a tool steel. In the making of the different tools, this powder metallurgy tool is very important, technique is very important for making the tool steel now, and they are made in the pure elemental forms. Okay, but there are certain other ways also where you can do the pre-alloyed powder also now. So in this case, each particle is in the alloy form now. This comprises of the desired chemical composition. So for example, pre-alloyed powder are available like a stainless steel, certain copper alloys, and high-speed steel. They are available. Common pre-alloyed powder is available. So you can make those product from those particles from special powder of these materials now. Okay, so coming to the powder metallurgy products, as we discussed, you can make the gears, bearings, sprockets, fastener, electrical contacts, cutting tool, and various machinery parts can be made. So advantage of powder metallurgy powder parts are the parts can be made to near net shape or net shape. You don't need, in fact, the further machining operation, or very less machining operation are required, except few details you want to add, in fact. Now when produced in the large quantities, the gears and bearings are ideal for powder metallurgy parts, because these gears are normally not made in the other methods. So we make always the gears of different types with the help of powder metallurgy. So the geometry is defined in the two dimension. There is a need for porosity in the parts to serve as a reservoir for the lubricant now. And the powder metallurgy part classification, if you want to do, some powder metallurgy parts are only pressed in the one direction, some are pressed in this direction and this direction, some are pressed from for example this direction and the third direction. Some can be made from the, for example, upper, sides and then lower. So depending upon the classification, so you can see here simple thin shape, and then second class 2 simple parts are, but they are thicker shape parts are requiring the pressing from the two direction. Here you need two direction, here you need a three direction, and here you need the multiple direction, in fact, now for the pressing with the help of presses. Okay, so useful because if it indicated some of the limitation in the shape, so you can classify the part according to the type of the pressing required over here now. Okay, this is all about the today lecture. Thank you very much. I hope you must have understood some of the technology related to the powder metallurgy, and hopefully if you want to study about some making of the powder techniques of the powder making, you can go through other powder metallurgy formation techniques now. Thank you very much, and Allah Hafiz.